Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, with special guest appearances from Andrew Hoags Hoganson. Three avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Minnesota Twins. Men for the Win is sponsored by the Grand Group with Edina Realty. Are you looking to purchase a new home in the Twin Cities area? Or perhaps you're trying to sell your current home? The Grand Group with Edina Realty will meet all of your housing needs. Contact the Grand Group by emailing thegran, G-R-A-N, group at edinarealty.com or call them by phone at 612-817-8751. Men for the Win is part of the Pull Tab Sports Network, covering sports, culture, and entertainment across the Midwest. Check them out at pulltabsports.com and give them a follow on all your social media platforms at Pull Tab Sports. On this episode, David and Dan recap the Twins' three-game series against the Las Vegas, Sacramento, Oakland A's. Thanks for listening. Enjoy. Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win. My name is David Kufis. With me, as always, is Dan Thompson. The Twins head out to Sacramento, playing at a Triple-A stadium. They lose 2 of 3 to what is universally regarded as the worst team in baseball, Dan. And I'm tired. I'm cranky. My eye is twitching from the hostility that I feel towards this team. The only silver lining I have, Dan Thompson, is that the Minnesota State Fair starts tomorrow, and I absolutely can't wait.
I'm glad you're excited. As you know, I'm not a fair guy, but I'm not going to rag on it. I'm not going to rain on your fair parade, right? Because I saw this on Twitter, somebody kind of talking about how much they love the fair and that you don't have to go out of your way to slam the fair if you don't like it. It's not, and I would not slam it. There's nothing. I didn't have the romance that you have. This is a romantic experience for you going to the Minnesota State Fair, isn't it?
It's a huge deal. So, my dad and I, again, this is old hat now for listeners of the show here, but we go every year, opening year. We've done this for I don't know how many years now. We've only missed a few here and there, and it is just my dad's getting older. I'm getting older. We're starting to bring in grandkids into the fold, and you got these generations kind of coming out. It is something that I hold very dear, and yeah. It could be almost anything, right? It wouldn't have to be the Minnesota State Fair that was the thing, but because that's what the tradition started with. And, I remember the first year I went, I think it was first grade with my dad and his friend Ray, and I just sort of felt like it was so exciting to go along and be sort of part of the boys, right? And it was a big deal for me growing up, and so I just really love that tomorrow at gate open, I'll be there, Dan, with my dad, and we're going to hit the Farmers Union coffee shop like we always do, start our day with a coffee at the fair, Dan.
I think the Twins have an off day, too, tomorrow, so maybe you'll run into a few of them. You can ask them the tough questions like, why did they lose 2 of 3 to the A's?
I can't imagine they'd make Twins do publicity stuff the day
they'll just be
after
there.
travel,
They'll be with their families, and you can accost them right there. Find Bailey Ober.
Where did all these unsupervised children come from?
And just he's a tall guy. You'd recognize Bailey in the wild.
I would think so. He'd be hard not to, I think. Plus, I stare at his picture all the time that's on my wall.
Right behind the
wall.
I
should be able to.
Also, one other thing. Did you know there were 2 Max Muncies?
No, it took me a full inning to figure out what was happening here. I was like, that's not Max, but hang on, what is happening? It's just like who's the receiver? Right,
and
he's the right fielder,
and it's another weird name too. Hunter Renfroe. Hunter Renfroe. Yep,
there's 2 Hunter Renfroe. They're like not that one. It's the same thing. There's too many. Why? It's never like Jim Johnson. It's like some random like Max Muncy. There's 2 of those running around. It's crazy, Dan.
Well, there were a number of Joe Smiths for a while, but that doesn't count, right?
No,
if your last name was Smith, you're just another guy.
Yes.
At that point. David, we got to talk about it. We got to go into this here series recap.
Series recap.
Game 1 here, Dan. Twins win this one 9-6. Even this one, Dan, didn't feel great. It felt great early on, but it got sort of difficult towards the end. Twins get things started early. Top of the first, Buxton walks, Jeffers singles, then Josh Bell hits a double off the literal top of the wall in left center. Plouffe is in the booth here with Provis, and he thought it was a home run. He's like, I saw that net move, and they reviewed it. Nope, still just a double. But Twins are up 1-0. Sadly, with Jeffers on third and Bell on second, Clemens K's and Lewis flies out to end the inning. Twins do get another one in the top of the third. Buxton doubles, advances to the third on a ground out, and then scores on a ground out. Just power, absolute on display here for your Twins. Twins are up 2-0. Bottom of the third, the A's do get back-to-back singles, and then Jeff grounds into a double play.
Oh man, we need it. That's
I've heard it both ways.
That was rough.
With a runner on third, Lawrence Butler hits a ball up the middle. It's deflected by Zebby, which I don't necessarily blame him on this one, but it is really frustrating because Culpepper was going to be there, and Culpepper almost made a phenomenal play on this ball that changed direction, as it's making its way over the mound. But sadly, that one makes its way into the center field. Twins are still up 2-1 at this point. Top of the fifth, Ryan Kreidler, who is from Sacramento, so he had a lot of people in tow at the stadium here. He hits a solo home run. Then with 2 outs and 2 on, Cody Clemens hits an RBI single, so the Twins are up 4-1. Top of the sixth, Dan. Big inning for the Twins. Culpepper singles, Lee singles. Then Kreidler lays down a sac bunt. A's catcher Heim gets greedy. He throws to third, Dan, trying to get Culpepper, but Culpepper beats the throw. Bases are loaded, and new haircut Luke Keyshaw hits a 2 RBI double. Twins are up 6-1.
I have magic hair that glows when I sing.
I don't know if it does anymore.
At the end of that movie, though, doesn't she cut her hair too, and she still has her powers? Right? That's the
first
whole
of all,
shtick,
Flynn
right?
cuts her hair. How do
sorry.
you not know
Wow.
this, Dan? Come on.
I do have a daughter, but anyway.
You should. I mean, no. And then it becomes brown, and then they have this whole spin-off, Tangled, the animated series, which has like 8 seasons, Dan.
Wow,
And she has the long hair.
This much about
No, the lore
Tangled
gets
spin-offs.
crazy because what happens at the end of Tangled is her hair is short and brown, right? But so in the show, they keep it long because that's like the whole bit about Rapunzel. She has this long hair,
Let
right?
down her hair,
Well,
yeah.
then when you get to like season 6, it turns out this is all like a dream sequence.
Oh.
and it's like not
That
real.
only works in
6
Inception.
seasons. 6 seasons of dreams? Are you kidding me, Disney, with this? So where did you cut me off?
Oh yeah, go ahead, continue.
Sorry.
I think you're going to talk about Zebby here.
Yes, no, but the Twins were up 6-1. Then Josh Bell hits a sac fly, makes it 7-1 Twins. Zebby Matthews, a great outing here, finishes off the 7th inning with 105 pitches, 7 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 7 Ks. Top of the 8th, Buxton singles. Bell's hit by pitch. Clemens hits an RBI single. So the Twins are up 8-1. And I got to be honest, I thought I had Puckett's picks in the bag at this point. Not so. Because Kalen Culpepper then with his 4th hit of the night, an RBI single, puts the Twins up 9-1. Now, Dan, this season, at the beginning of the season, 9-1 with a couple of innings left to go, you might be thinking, okay, this could be problematic, but probably not. Like 8 runs even with this bullpen against the worst lineup in baseball. They should be able to handle it. Well, now we don't have the worst bullpen in baseball, but it certainly felt like we did, Dan. The Twins bullpen takes over and struggles here. Nance with a terrible outing. He loads the bases with 1 out, but thankfully only allows 1 run on a sac fly. So now it's 9-2 with 3 outs to get, Dan. 3 outs is all we need here. Bottom of the 9th, Gomez basically coming out just to get some work in because he hasn't done
Worst
anything.
idea.
Like he hasn't
Can't
had a
do that
chance to
your
throw.
closer. Bad idea.
No. So he comes in, he gets 2 quick outs, and then he goes single, walk, double, double, double. And now it looks like it's an actual close game. The A's are down 9-6, but Morris enters and he gets Tommy White to line out to Royce Lewis. And honestly, even that hit, Dan, Royce Lewis, I mean, it was like 100 miles an hour off the bat. Royce Lewis had to like dagger it, or like sort of, what do they call that when they, you know what I'm saying? Spirit. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Wonderful. Yeah, so that's all that one was, Dan. Twins win 9-6, but it got ugly towards the end. That game was very frustrating because you should have been able to turn it off after like the 3rd inning, and you couldn't, Dan, because who knows what this Twins team is going to get you each day.
No, and it kind of foreshadowed everything that came then in the next couple of nights down in Sacramento here, right? Because game 2, the Twins lose this one 4-2. In the bottom of the second, the A's get 2 on and a Carlos Cortez home run. The Athletics are up 2-0. And outside of those 2 runs, it's a really quiet game through 5 innings. Really outside of the home run that Bradley does look great. He even had an immaculate inning, David, and I'll talk about that more later. Twins first ever. But in the 6th, with 2 outs, gets himself into trouble. Butler singles, White doubles, another single after that, and it's 4-0 A's. Finally, the Twins give Gage the jump at that point.
Oh, Dan, absolutely.
This is why
terrible.
It's like
I wanted
a pun.
to read
It's a
this
play
game.
on words.
I do get it.
They do finally get to him, who he looks like he's going to be the real deal, this Gage jump here. And the A's, going back 20 years, I mean, they've had a great history of starting pitchers, young guys like this that then they trade to the Yankees. Lewis singles, Culpepper, of course, with an RBI double. Lee doubles. Then Caratini grounds out. That scores Culpepper, and it's 4-2. And then that's the end of the scoring in this one. Biggest takeaway is in the bottom of the seventh. Buxton trying to cut off a ball headed to the gap in right center. He comes up lame, kind of like a horse, galloping and then stopping. Appears to re-injure that hip that's been bothering him. We're still waiting on word. Apparently they don't have doctors in Oakland who can do these things. But no, the team is coming back, so I can understand. Because then he sat for Game 3, and we sat waiting to hear what is up with Buxton.
Okay, so did you watch this play backward? So I thought I had noticed, and maybe I'm just, confirmation bias here.
I don't believe that man's ever been to medical school.
Here we go.
Whenever he went to pick up a ball, it looked like he turned his body. So he didn't have to twist in a particular way.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so here he only had one way to have a chance at this ball, was to bend in the way that he did. And this wasn't some crazy athletic play that Buck's trying to make here. He's trying to lean over and stop this ball, and he couldn't do it. And it's okay, I just want to say, to speak to the toughness of Byron Buxton, I'm guessing he's playing through a considerable amount of pain.
Yes.
And if he could re-injure himself, literally bending over to try and stop a ball, Dan, clearly he's not right. And it's just, I do hope they put him on the shelf for a little bit, and I will talk more about what I hope happens, Dan, later. But it's one of those things where I just think that Byron Buxton deserves a lot of credit for trying to play through this injury. But that play made it utterly apparent that, hey, this was not good, that he was out trying to play through this injury that prevented him from even picking up a ball in the way that he would normally do so.
Yeah, can't bend it like Buxton, I think, in that situation.
Oh,
that
twice in one little recap here, Dan.
It's like a pun. It's a play on words.
All right,
get it.
well,
You
let me
take us
take you through
through
game
game
3
3.
here. Yes. Athletics win this one 7-4. I thought this one the Twins had early, and they did, I guess, technically have it early, but it's late is what hurt them, Dan. So top of the first, Brooks Lee hits a solo homer, puts the Twins up 1-0. Top of the second, Larnach, who has struggled recently, hits a deep homer, which is great. And then Culpepper, they go back-to-back for solo homers. So Twins are up 3-0. Bottom of the fourth here, Butler walks, White singles, Stefanik doubles, then Serverin grounds out. So the A's score 2. It's 3-2 Twins at this point. Top of the sixth, Twins load the bases with 1 out on 3 straight singles from Bell, Jeffers, and Clemens. Lewis hits a sac fly to score 1, but then Larnach hits a deep fly ball to the warning track. Provis gave me a little bit of Bramer energy on this ball here, but it does reach the warning track. The catch is made, ends the inning. Twins are up 4-2. Bottom of the sixth, though, Dan, things absolutely fall apart for Connor Prelip and the Twins after a Butler ground out. So there's 1 out. Morris enters, hoping to erase his last bad luck-filled outing where things just could not go his way. Dan, luck had nothing to do with his poor outing in this game here, Dan. Hyam and White both single. McNeil hits an RBI double. Williams triples. And then Hernia, I don't know.
I've heard it both ways.
He singles. The A's score 6. They lead 6-4. Bottom of the seventh, Funderburk enters. And he's got, okay, I'm sorry. Dear goodness. You have a 1-2 count against Butler, and he throws this ball that's middle 92 miles an hour. And he crushes it. It's too good a pitch on a 1-2 count, Dan. It's incredibly frustrating. Don't throw a ball in the zone on a 1-2 count that's that hittable, Dan. Come on now. Twins lose 7-4, and I was just utterly frustrated. You were too, Dan. I got the text from you that baseball is dumb. So clearly you were unhappy as well.
Yeah, you know what's not dumb, though, is Cascade CBX Sport. We have a sponsor here, and it's a company looking to revolutionize the CBD industry. CBD too often gets grouped with THC, which is given it a stigma. This is why Cascade CBX Sport invested the time and money to achieve NSF certification for sport. What does that mean? It means Cascade CBX Sport is free of over 300 banned substances. It means whether you're a weekend warrior or a professional athlete, you can have peace of mind choosing a completely clean product to manage your pain and reduce inflammation. Check them out at CascadeCBXSport.com and trust the Shield to stay on the field. 30% off promo code if you use PullTab30.
Touch 'em all, Kirby
Puckett's Picks winner.
Dan, the listeners' dry spell here goes back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 straight no wins for the listeners in Puckett's Picks. Hogs actually comes away with this one. He must have had some line or some read that Culpepper was going to have a breakout series. Culpepper wins this one. He gets the bonus also. Culpepper had 12. You took Lee, who had 7. The listeners took Keyshaw, who had 5. I took Clemens, who had 1. And now, Dan, looking at these standings, Hogs is now tied with the listeners at 15.5. You're in second, well, third technically with 14. I'm at 9, which I'll be cheering from the back for the listeners certainly here, Dan. But this is close here.
Yeah, he's made up 7 points during this streak that you talked about here, this scoreless streak. He's at 15.5. Listeners at 15.5. I'm at 14. I'm still there. You're at 9. I think I give the Twins a better chance of making the playoffs than you winning Puckett's Picks here.
Certainly
at this point, David.
Yes, a reasonable take, Dan. But let's go on to Beast versus Bench and keep talking about some of these guys.
Beast versus Bench.
Is losing fun? Is losing fun?
Well, I think if Hogs were here, he would definitely take Culpepper. And even though Hogs isn't here, I'm still going to take Culpepper. My goodness. 6 for 12, 3 RBI, some good fielding. I just think he had a really good play here in Game 3 where he was moving to his left. He had to slide, pop up, and throw a guy who was booking it down the first baseline. I hope he can stay at shortstop until the Twins have, I think it's Merrick Houston coming up. He actually is one of the athletes who signed with CBX Sports, the sponsor you just read for, Dan. But so I do think at this point that Culpepper, I think he's the shortstop for the next 2 seasons probably, assuming that he's healthy, because there's no other real answer until Merrick comes up. He's looking like he could be a guy, Dan. I'm pretty excited about this Culpepper kid.
Small sample size, but his OPS is over 900 right now, batting .333. So certainly a good start for him. I imagine he's going to get moved up in the lineup coming up here. I went with the pitching side. I went with Mr. Matthews and his teeny-weeny blister.
I don't believe that man's ever been to medical school.
Good on him. I'm watching his face, and you know how I know the look of pain, David, right?
Yes,
We've been over this
know.
before in previous seasons. He looked like he was really muscling it out there to get through that. But 105 pitches for him, he needed an outing like this. And I think down the stretch, regardless of what happens to the Twins here, there's a bit of an audition here, I think, between Prelip and Matthews maybe for that, for a starting rotation spot next year.
We'll have to see what happens here, Dan. I hate doing this because I love this kid.
I have magic hair that glows when I sing.
I got to give it to Keyshaw here. 2 for 14, 2 different plays in center field that could have both been credited errors if errors made any sense in the way that they're tracked in the outfield, Dan. What do you do with a guy who can hit clearly and can run clearly and can't field, but he's not built like a DH? Like, when's the last time you've seen a DH who weighs under 200 pounds? Like, that's just not something that happens, Dan.
Yeah, it's kind of, how do you solve a problem like Luke Keyshaw? Like, that's kind of like, what do? You can't keep him in the Abbey, right? You can't let him out free, right? So, I feel like that's where Luke is.
Well, we'll have to see what happens.
I see. I've left you speechless here talking with the musical
a little bit.
reference
Just
here.
the problem is I don't know what you do with him because you have to decide he's a liability in the field. Doesn't matter, and like center field is seems like a little bit prime time position here. But I understand to be the best on the offensive side of the ball, you need him in the lineup, and you can't put Kreidler out there. And so it's just I just don't know what you're supposed to do if you're Derek Shelton to have his bat in the lineup and also not have him be such a liability in the field.
Yeah. I think you put him in the corner in a corner outfield spot, and you say, "Please, Luke, go learn the angles and the geometry of right field at target field, and you hope for the best."
Hope for the best. And who do you have on your bench?
Andrew Morris. He was my guy for a long time. He had that wonderful stretch, where like 21 outings without a run, and then he's really gotten roughed up lately. And they may have still lost without his shenanigans here in Game 3, but those 3 runs were crucial in a series you really had to have.
Yes. Totally. Well, speaking of a series we should have had here, Dan, let's talk about some specific moments, especially for our manager, Derek. Let's go, Dan.
You ever seen Buck with his pants down? No.
Derek's debrief.
Game 3, bottom 5. We have recently talked about leaving Connor Prelip out there for too long, Dan. he had 3 balls hit hard. They just happened to be at someone. And actually, there was a pretty good play by Royce Lewis. He snagged a liner down the line and got an unassisted double play. But the thing is, in the 5th, after the leadoff single, he had Adams up. And I'm just thinking, I understand, sure, you got Royce with the quick double play, and that sort of changed the arithmetic a little bit. I still think you just watched this happen less than a week ago. Not a good idea. I think 2 out of the 3 balls that were hit that inning were over 100 miles an hour. They just happened to be hit at somebody. I think you had to make the change there. Let Adams pitch for 2 innings just to keep the game moving and knowing that you're not going to have this sort of blow up. And that's exactly what happened in the 6th inning. We're going to talk about that in Minnesota moment, Dan. But I see you have I would argue, a Minnesota moment for Derek's debrief in some ways, Dan.
I do. This right now. So the Twins are back, and we're going to talk about they're 4 back in the wild card, 6.5 back. This feels like a Herb Brooks moment here for Derek Shelton. So I'm curious, like what kind of talk is he going to give them? I know that the sports have changed, right, in the 45 since Herb gave his great, if we play them 10 times, they'd beat us 9. If we simulated this season using AI, 1,000 times, we wouldn't make the postseason in 900 of them. But those 100 scenarios, I think he's going to have to rally them here. They've rallied before, but this feels like the low of the season, I think, in some ways. And maybe I'm sure there's recency bias there, right?
Yes.
But like, how do you come back from this where you've lost 3 of the last 4 series? And ugly in those, right? 1 and 8 in those, and then you have that sweep, and then you have the other sweep. This feels like he's going to have to show his quality here as a manager to rally this team.
Yeah, I think that if he doesn't make a move now to fire up the team, it's sort of, what are you doing as a manager? Like, if you don't see the writing on the wall that, like, hey, the season is slipping here, any chance of a postseason berth is almost gone. You got to fire up the troops any way you can. And I just don't think. This sounds so stupid. The players haven't played bad enough for a players-only meeting. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just they haven't played bad enough. It's been mistakes here and there. It hasn't been like an overall, like they can't get a hit with runners in scoring position. It's that you can't finish out the game. And so, enough of this, Dan. Let's go on here, Minnesota moment.
Minnesota moment.
So, game 2, bottom 5. I'm going to admit, David, I was watching this game. I was also drafting my fantasy football team, and I missed it in the moment. We didn't have the audio on, and then I doubled back through, and I was like, wait, what? And I rewatched it. Credit Corey Provis here for not being worried about, like, ruining it or jinxing it.
Yeah.
Like, he talked about it after the 8th pitch, and then that 9th pitch, David, was a beautiful pitch. Yes. Right on the edge of the strike zone. You could tell Taj knew what was happening, right? Because he threw that ball. I think it was the hardest pitch of the night. That was really cool to finally have this after just a couple months ago watching the Cleveland Guardians. I think it was Gavin Williams do it to the Twins and having seen it done to the Twins before. That was really cool. Literally a franchise first was really fun.
Did you think the batter was going to challenge that last pitch?
Yeah. Did you think that he, out of gentlemanliness, like chose not to?
Fair question. I don't know. I truly don't know.
Because he's got to know, too, going into the at-bat.
Maybe. It was sort of funny because Plouffe, said it on the broadcast. He's like, thanks for pointing that out, Corey, because I didn't realize. And so, even Plouffe, the guy who was there doing color commentary, didn't realize what was happening.
So maybe the batter didn't know. I thought maybe it was early enough that I think the A's probably didn't want to burn a challenge on that. But
Could be.
Great moment. What do you got?
Yeah, so game 3, bottom 6 here. Keyshaw isn't a center fielder. I feel like I'm belaboring the point.
We've established that. Yes.
It hurt him twice in this game, but this one in particular was a ball that I thought he should have caught. That Buxton, I think even a hobbled Byron Buxton catches this ball because he takes a better line to it. And the thing is, when they do that sort of the camera that's above home plate, like into the outfield, so you can watch how the players are running. First of all, I don't love the camera angles of this ballpark, but it's not really meant to be a pro stadium anyway. I get it. But because you're so far away from the center fielder, you can't really see their eyes, so you're not sure where they're looking. So what you're really just looking for is the center fielder slowing down, right? Because then you know that he's got a bead on where the ball's going to be. And Luke Keyshaw didn't slow down until the ball hit the ground. And it wasn't because he couldn't get there. It was because he didn't understand how to get under the ball. And I just think that moment is obviously what basically lost it for the Twins here in Game 3, bottom 6. But I just don't know how much more you can put up with that, Dan. And maybe bottom 6 is when you move him over to right field and you put Kreidler in center. Prelip and Keyshaw need to have an expiration after the 5th inning about what position they're allowed to play, I think, Dan.
All right, I have a question here for you, David. It's more of a command here in Mauer's Musings.
I just don't know how it can get any better.
Mauer's Musings.
Tell me the odds, David. Tell me the odds of this team making the playoffs.
It gets harder, Dan, with the way the last few series have gone. So looking at the standings, this is where it hurts, I think, is that they're now 4 games back in the wild card, which 4 games doesn't sound like a lot. And in one way, you're right. 4 games isn't that much. I mean, that's a series and a game, or even a 4-game series, and you can be right back in it. But the problem is, Dan, you have 5 teams ahead of you who are also vying for that last wild card spot. Because right now, I think, unless something crazy happens, it's going to be the Yankees and the Red Sox are going to get the top 2 wild card spots. So these are the teams you have vying for the last wild card in the AL. The Guardians, the Rangers, the Orioles, the Jays, the Mariners, and the Twins. And I guess the Tigers, too, are technically within striking distance. They're only 5.5 back. So when I'm looking at this, Dan, one of those teams is going to come out, and I think they're going to take that 3rd wild card spot by a decent margin by the end of the season. So then what it comes down to, Dan, is you have to win the Central if you're going to make the postseason. And I do think that that's the most statistically likely way that the Twins make the postseason this way is through the division win. And so if we look now, the Twins are 6.5 back from the White Sox. And you may say, well, David, that's ridiculous if they're 6.5 back in the Central. Why would you say that it's easier to win the division than it is to win the wild card? Because you're going to play these guys a ton. And that's really what this comes down to. In the next 3 series, we're going to know if the Twins are going to make the postseason because I'm convinced they're not going to win the wild card. They're going to have to win it via the division. The White Sox go Twins, Astros, Twins, Pirates, Cardinals, Guardians. Not great. Right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the Pirates are a bad baseball team. The Astros are leading the West, and who knows what they are, right? But looking here at the Guardians, you have the Royals, Blue Jays, Tigers, Orioles, Twins, White Sox. Their selection here also seems to be that they can make a run also. There's just not enough competition among those teams. The Tigers, who are a little bit further back, they go Dodgers. Hopefully they lose those. Twins, Guardians, Twins, Blue Jays, White Sox. So all of these teams are playing each other a ton, and the White Sox and the Guardians sadly have easier schedules than the Tigers do. So I kind of count the Tigers out of this here. But the Twins series here, if you're paying attention, folks, it goes White Sox, Tigers, Guardians, Yankees, which is a rough draw here. Which, again, maybe by the time they get to the Yankee series, all of this is for naught and it won't really matter anymore, Dan. But right now, these next 3 series, the Tiger series, again, I'm not convinced is really going to matter that much. All this comes down to here is those 2 series against the White Sox. You got 6 games. I think you got to win 5 of them, Dan, because it's just the way it's going to have to happen. And so the odds right now, Dan, they're not looking great for the Twins. I think that in the next 9 games where you see the White Sox for 6 of them and the Tigers for 3, I think you have to win 6. Otherwise, I think the season and our hopes here, Dan, of a postseason berth are down the drain.
I will say at least they've been playing some meaningful baseball in a season where we didn't think they would be. So
yes,
I guess I'm going to take that and we'll take some development. But there's a guy who's not being developed, David, I think in the same way.
Okay. Buxton is likely to go on the IL. I'll be shocked if he doesn't. Walker Jenkins is just sitting there, Dan, hitting bombs at AAA. Are you thinking, if you're in the Twins front office and you know the stipulations regarding what Jenkins can do for next season, depending on what happens this season and where he is, if he's on the 40-man or off the 40-man, are you thinking with your head here, Dan, or your heart, if you have the button right now to call up Walker Jenkins and you own a portion of the Twins, what are you doing, Dan Thompson?
Like you said, there's 5 teams ahead of them. There's 6.5 back in the Central. They will be a better baseball team the next couple of seasons. Gosh, I don't blame them for not calling up Walker and trying to look at a longer-term view. I don't like it, But that's the head, right? The head says, and even a little bit of the heart says, don't you want Walker more? Now, here's the bold strategy. You say, Walker, we're not bringing you up, but we're going to give you a brand new contract. It's one of those, there's one of those 7 years, $100 million. We believe in you, Walker.
Yeah.
Just not yet. You know, like we believe in you for what you can do for the Saints and see. I do think the bigger priority actually needs to be calling up Emmanuel Rodriguez to see what you have in him and giving him an extended audition here, because he could be, I don't want to say every bit as good as Wally Jenkins, but he could be pretty good. That's the squandering that I think they're doing right now, is they're leaving some of these guys. And again, Alex Jackson does not need to be on this roster. Oh my goodness.
Stop it. Get some help.
They need to stop.
He's not even playing. Is he there? Is Alex Jackson present?
I kind of wonder if he's at the hotel and he's like, guys, just call me if you need me here, I think. He's probably sitting in his hotel room listening to country music, Dan.
Oh, man.
So settled for a burger and a grape snow cone.
Do you know how, like, there's an emergency goalie for the Wild? You know, like, they always have that third goalie, but it's just like a guy at like, a bar on West 7th. Like, that's Alex Jackson right now.
Okay, Dan. That's the guy. There's a lot of drunk guys, Dan, at the fair. And if you're out at the fair and you're drinking and it's hot, you need to be drinking water. And if you can't get enough water for your hydration, Dan, let me tell you about one of our sponsors here, Drip Drop. 75% of people are walking around out there dehydrated. And I'm guessing, Dan, that number is even higher at the Minnesota State Fair. Dehydration can leave you feeling irritable, give you brain fog, and feeling low energy, especially walking around the fair. Well, we've discovered a new hydration hero, and its name is Drip Drop. Drip Drop was invented more than a decade ago during life-saving humanitarian aid missions across the globe. Drip Drop is a next-level breakthrough in hydration, backed by 6 decades of ORS science, designed for both speed and taste to deliver the fastest possible hydration. 90% of all professional sports teams across all the major sports use Drip Drop, including the Vikings, Wild, Wolves, and you guessed it, your Minnesota Twins. Simply put, Drip Drop works faster and tastes better. Head to Amazon or DripDrop.com and order some Drip Drop mixed with water and experience for yourself the fastest way to hydrate.
I don't know.
Series grades.
I tried to skip this segment, Dan.
Yeah.
Because what's the point? What's the point? It's an F. You needed these wins. If you're going to make the postseason, you had to win these games. It's just, unless they go on a run here, Dan, they have to get hot in these series like I was just talking about. It's an F. They're the A's. They're terrible, Dan. Come on now.
Sometimes my students turn in something and I gave them like an analysis prompt and they wrote an argument instead. And I say, sorry, did not answer the prompt. F. That's what this feels like. Like, try again. The problem is that you can't redo the series here against the A's. This is an F. I don't need to grade it because they just did not even they were totally off base in what they were doing here.
Yeah, very frustrating. Well, let's go forward here, Dan. Herbie's headlines. We do have some fun things to talk about here.
Jack, it looked like Herbeck pulled him off the bag.
Herbie's headlines.
Okay, if you folks haven't been following the Little League World Series, it's a great time to jump in. You only got a few games left because the bracket has been whittling down here. But we need to talk about this Kinsley Rasmus, who is the daughter of former major leaguer Corey Rasmus and the niece of former major leaguer Colby Rasmus. And basically, Dan, she's destroyed the boys. She's pitching lights out. She's gotten more hits in the Little League World Series than any girl ever in the history of the tournament. And it's just, when you watch her on the mound, Dan, her mechanics are so much like a major league pitcher. Like, you know, the family that she grew up in. And I guess her mom was like in SEC softball, one of the best players and stuff. Like, she's got all of these things like sort of built into making her the ultimate baseball player. And this actually led a buddy of mine and I were talking about this, and it's like, because you do wonder, like, is there going to be a time when there's going to be a woman who makes the MLB? And I know the body structure and stuff gets so difficult, and like you just don't know if they're going to be able to get big enough to keep the sort of the torque and whatnot that you need in order to be a major league pitcher. But if anybody can do it, this girl can, Dan. And like, as you know, I have a girl, she loves baseball. You know, so there's I'm kind of biased in my, like, oh man, it'd be really cool to see a girl play in the major league someday. But watching this girl take it to the boys, Dan, super fun stuff.
Well, and then you have a note here on Roy Oswalt, which is a name that I have not thought about in a very long time.
Okay, so there's this Twitch streamer, and he has 0 views. Nobody's watching his channel at all. And what he's doing then is he's playing on the PS2 MVP Baseball 2005.
I had that game. Game. Joe Mauer was unstoppable in that baseball game.
Okay, so he decides to get viewers, he needs something at stake. And so what he says he's going to do is he's going to keep playing MVP Baseball with Roy Oswalt as the pitcher until he pitches a perfect game. And so he just does this. He just streams 4 days trying his darndest in to throw a perfect game with Roy Oswalt. And so the funniest part of it, he does it. I forget what the number is. It's like over 2,000 tries, though, or something like that he finally got to throw a perfect game. And honestly, it's super anticlimactic to watch him when he actually does it. Like, he's like, there it is, guys, finally did it, perfect game. I'm like, how? You played over like 2,000 to 3,000 baseball games, and that's what you have? Regardless, but the funniest part about this is that Roy Oswalt, I guess, if you remember, I didn't remember this, Dan, from so long ago, but like when the Astros gifted him a bulldozer, and he actually still uses that bulldozer. He's like a farmer or whatnot. Mm-hmm. Well, so he doesn't really know that any of this is happening, right? About him, that he's like trending on Twitter and stuff. And so then he like logs on and he sees all this, and he just tweets out, sorry, I'm just not on here very much. When he found out about it, he was literally plowing some land to try and help build his daughter a house or something on this plot of land. But a really cool story. There's a huge write-up at The Athletic here. I forget. Yes. I should credit not the artist. I should credit the artist here.
Stephen Nesbitt. Stephen Nesbitt's writer there for The Athletic.
Yes.
Yep.
But it's a much longer article than you imagine it would be for that type of story, Dan. But it's a good read, and it's kind of fun when you have those nostalgic moments like you were talking about, Dan, for having those old baseball games.
Exactly. All right. Big series here to pick for in Puckett's Picks, the White Sox.
And we'll see you tomorrow night. Puckett's Picks.
The biggest, Dan. The biggest of the year thus far, no question, and probably the season sort of being on the line here. The listeners are going to take Culpepper. I'm going to go with Luke Keeschall. Who are you going to go with, Dan?
I'm going to go with Ryan Jeffers. Hoax keeps picking him, and he keeps winning with him, too, occasionally. So I'm going to go with Ryan Jeffers.
Okay, seems reasonable. And I think Hoax here, looks like he's going to take Clemens is who he's got here. Dan, I don't know. They need to win these games, Dan. I just really need them to win these baseball games to keep our podcast interesting, Dan. Exactly. But speaking of keeping our podcast interesting, Dan needs a day off. So Hoax is going to fill in here on Sunday, and Hoax is nothing but interesting, certainly, Dan.
I think he brings the chaos, I believe.
Yes.
Is what's been
he has too many nicknames. Now it's the Chaos, Andrew, Hoax, Hogan stuff. He's got more quotations in his name than letters, I think, Dan, at this point. So.
Well, I think I'll send us out here, David. Folks, if you like what you hear, please tell a friend. You can follow us on X at Men for the Win. You can find our Men for the Win Facebook and Instagram pages. Make sure you're subscribed to our podcast on your favorite platforms so you're notified when new episodes are available. And if you could leave us a rating or a like, we'd greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to support the show further, you can find us on Patreon. The link is in the description. Thank you for listening, and as always, go Twins.
That'll wrap up another episode of Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, with special guest appearances from Andrew Hoax Hoganson, 3 avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Minnesota Twins. Thanks so much for listening, and as always, go Twins!